In this video, I traveled near the gates of Death Valley to a sprawling desert wasteland. Here amid the unforgiving sands, history tells of a masterful man who built paradise in the middle of all this emptiness. Dr. Springer managed to turn this wasteland into a sanctuary of false dreams, luring desperate souls with the promise of miraculous healing. So in this video, we will travel down Zzyzx Road, the same road unexpected victims traveled to find the truth about these unanswered questions.
Was he a real doctor?
How did he end up here? Where did he come from?
And where did he end up going?
Let's go talk to some people and see what they have to say.
Dang, he's out here in the dry desert. Oh, he's taking a dump.
Marking his territory.
Well, we're all gonna get a sty in there right now. Welcome to Soda Springs, aka, what did he used to call this place out here?
Never heard about this place until about 24 hours ago.
This is the place out here that had the supposed mineral hot springs that would help cure everything from hair loss to cancer to depression to pretty much everything on this planet.
Did you say hair loss?
Yeah.
Maybe I can grab a little bit.
That's one way to introduce yourself, right? And then we also got Juju here.
What's up?
So we're gonna go ahead and explore this place. You've never heard of this, have you?
Nah, I actually never heard about this place until not too long ago. Seems pretty cool though.
Yeah, so there was an entire place built out here that supposedly had healing waters that this doctor built out here, and a lot of people are coming out here as tourists and stuff. So this place has been out here for a very long time, and we're gonna do a little bit of exploring and talk a little bit about the history of this whole entire area. So let's get to it.
So what brought you out here to a place like this?
I've seen this road many times throughout the years, back and forth from Vegas to California, and then I finally seen it on YouTube, and I thought, why not? I've been visiting ghost towns and abandoned mines in Nevada, so I've seen the history of this place and thought it was cool, so we're here.
So did you hear anything about the guy that actually started this
Yeah,
place?
he was an evangelist, and he ended up taking money from people, swindling, and then the government, they actually came here and arrested him.
Yeah.
And that's when the BLM took over it. There's a lot of eerie stuff about out here too.
Do you think he actually found the cure and they shut him down, or he was a con artist?
I think he was a
He was
con artist. Yeah. But I mean, there probably was mineral properties, you know, because I've been to lots of hot springs and stuff throughout New Mexico, and it's just the sodium. I don't know, it's gonna heal you. I don't think so, no. He was just a hustler.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's it.
Making money.
Yeah, he was just a hustler. Yeah.
Well, all right, appreciate it.
Nice to meet you, man.
Yeah, appreciate
Yeah.
it. What is that, Lake Toondale Loop? You're telling me there's an endangered species that the dude planted in there?
Yeah, so there was an endangered species of chub in here. So I wonder if we'll be able to see one. Did you know that, Jew? There's an endangered species of chub.
I think I heard about that one time, that it's somewhere. I didn't know it was here though.
First off, do you know what a chub is?
It's like a little minnow, isn't it?
These ones get a little bigger than a minnow, but yeah, they're kind of like a minnow.
Nah, I just know it's like some kind of fish.
They look like little carp. It looks weird.
Yeah.
They had a picture of one.
So I guess without realizing, we almost walked down the direction that you're not allowed to go. I guess they do a lot of studying here, so they don't want to hurt their sensitive resources. But that's Lake Toondale right there. It's actually got that endangered species of chub in there. Now, cool fact about that chub is there's a river that goes down the Mojave Desert, and that chub was only originally ever found in that river in the entire world. In the 1940s, some invasive species got introduced to that river and actually completely wiped out all of the chubs from that area. So little did Curtis know at the time, there was a little spring out here that actually was holding some of those chubs, and it was the last place in the entire world to be holding some of those chubs at. And he introduced some of them into this lake right behind me right here. Now, because he did that, it actually saved that species from extinction. So this place right here is pretty important for that fish in particular. Now that he introduced them there, scientists have been able to take that fish and reintroduce it to other places around the world. And now it's still technically an endangered fish, but it's not near extinction like it once was. Is that a rabbit on that road over there? Is that a rabbit on the road? Oh no, it's a bush. So did you know about that endangered chub? That this was the only place on the planet that had them at one point?
I didn't know beforehand, but when I was doing a little bit of research, yeah, He put them into this lake and they lived. When the rest of the river dried up or whatever, they stayed in here. So he actually committed a crime by placing them into this pond, because it's illegal to take one fish species and put it somewhere else. But he actually saved it, not even knowing. So that was one good thing that came out of this place.
So it looks like you're not really allowed to walk too many places around the water, but we're gonna check out this sign. There's a little trail.
Look at that optical illusion down there.
Oh, it looks like a bunch of water.
You keep going towards the water and you never reach it.
Yeah. What's crazy is everybody that lives in Vegas around palm trees, this is what your palm tree would look like if you did not trim the palm tree. Sanctuary of Green. Can't even really read it.
Which one was the healing water?
We'll show you over there. These are the springs. So he built these lakes out here kind of just for tourists to look at and explore and stuff.
Oh, he built them?
I think so. I think, yeah, he diverted the water to be able to fill these ponds out here. The cool fact about this area is that the natives first off used to use it for thousands and thousands of years. And then did you know that when the Spaniards were coming through the United States, that they used to stop at these springs here, camp out a little bit, get water and stuff? And then in the 1860s, there was a military camp here. So who knows what that camp was used for back in the day in the 1860s. Maybe they were holding soldiers for the Indian wars that were going on. Or maybe they just were using it for training or something. I don't really know. You know, anybody's guess. But still super interesting. Here's a close look at the big pond right here. There's a bunch of little fish in there. Those don't look like the chubs, but a bunch of little minnows maybe he stocked in there. But it's crazy. Curtis built this whole thing. He must have had a big old fountain coming out of the middle right there or something. This place would have been nice back in the day.
So the interesting thing about this story is this guy that a lot of people thought was a con artist. It's very weird that con artists have like a special gift of influencing people to do things that, you know, people wouldn't normally do. Imagine this guy, and you're talking 100 years ago, before the internet, before all this stuff. He comes out here in the middle of the desert. He finds this little creek. He creates these ponds, and all of a sudden he starts putting it all over the radio that he found something that has healing power, special waters. Everything was set up for older people and people that were looking for a cure for diseases and stuff. These people actually thought that they were going to be cured when they came out here. So it's just interesting because these guys are really good talkers.
So what's really crazy about Curtis, or Dr. Springer, whatever you want to call him, is that he was, like Senior was saying, rumored to be a con artist. Now his life was crazy. You can read about him all online. He had been trying to come up with a bunch of scams multiple times throughout his life. He actually was on the radio for a while, and he tried to work for like a whole radio station for doctors and medical professionals, and they all called him a con artist too. They all called him a liar and that he didn't really know his stuff in the medical field. He was lying about what colleges he went to and stuff. So he was lying about his medical degrees. You know, he didn't really go to any fancy colleges like he claimed he did. And if you think about it, back in the day, this is back in like the 30s, 1920s, 1930s, everything's on paper. So if you travel far away from where you grew up, nobody knows you. Nobody knows if you're lying or not. A lot of people probably had to take stuff by word, or you could fake it. But throughout his life, he kind of was a businessman, and he kept trying to sell scams. You know, he kept trying to sell these miracle cures for different things throughout his entire life and career. And then one day he finally came up with the idea, hey, let's try to make a spring, a mineral spring somewhere that has healing properties to it. Now, a lot of people might believe that hot springs do help. You know, there's a lot of people believe in natural remedies to cure stuff and believe that when you jump in mineral-filled water, like a natural hot spring, that it goes in your bloodstream and it helps out your whole body in general. So, you know, he might have been onto something. Some people say he might have been, some people say he's lying. He came up with the idea to make like a hot spring kind of deal, and he actually tried it out on the East Coast. Did it for a solid 6 years until the government came in, shut him down because he wasn't paying taxes. He wasn't paying his taxes, so he kind of got shut down for tax evasion. And he tried it a few more times until out of nowhere, he decided to try to move out west, right? Move out west, probably to kind of get away from his reputation or whatever it was. And he stumbled across these springs out here.
That's the part that gets me though. Because you think maybe he came out here and he did find, you know, a beautiful oasis that had healing powers or whatever, but the fact that he had tried it in a couple other spots and then the government went after him because he didn't pay taxes, it kind of starts raising red flags. And the fact that he came out here in the middle of nowhere and just did it all over again really raises a red flag, because how are you going to find 3 places that cure you? You know, so he was saying that this was a hot spring, and reading up on it a little bit, he had a building over here hidden where he had some type of heater. The water would go into it, he would heat it and let it down, so it wasn't even really a hot spring out here. It was all a scam. So like I said, con artists, they're very smooth talkers. They talk you into a lot of things, and a lot of it was just lies.
Oh man, I wonder why this would be out here.
Lake mead waters are down right now. We got some more boats now.
Got some more boats exposed. Look at this thing. This thing's actually pretty cool.
Besides being a con artist, this guy actually did a pretty good job setting up this place. It looks pretty nice. Back in the day, I probably would have believed it too. It's a pretty nice setup and everything.
Yeah, he had a big fountain going out of the middle and stuff.
It looks like it could heal you.
Yeah. Just the look.
Yeah.
So he ran this place for 30 years. So the reason why he was able to even get on this land, I believe it was BLM land, which means Bureau of Land Management. He came out here, and when he found this place, he found a loophole, and he said that he was going to start a mine, which if you live in the state of Nevada, California, this West Coast area, you can go pay about $150 to $200, and they'll give you blocks of like 20 to 50 acres. Depending on how much you pay. So you set your claim, you get 20 acres, and then you can get it for the year. So he just kept renewing this as if it was a mine. Say I go and I establish a mine and I go pay the government, they don't expect me to start building hotels on it, you know what I mean? They just want the building that's going to be there for the mine. So when they came out and looked at this, they saw he's building hotels and stuff for people.
He was claiming that he was extracting the minerals from the land out here.
Yeah.
So that he could legally use it as a mine was his excuse. What? There's a tarantula.
He had this potion that cured baldness, cancer, arthritis. He had a bunch of them, and we were looking at some of the ingredients. He would get some of this water, mix up carrot juice in there. He was putting cucumbers, he was grinding it up, and he was serving this as a cure. And once you start doing that, the government's going to come after you, and they're going to go after you hard. Like, is this stuff even curing people, or are you just ripping people off? You know, the government tries to protect people from scammers. So long story short, he's out here for 30 years before they can shut him down, and they eventually got him and locked his butt up. He ended up dying in like 1985, but he accomplished a lot out here. I told the whole story.
Your storytelling is pretty funny.
Because when we come out here and we vlog this stuff, I kind of get interested in the history. So I'm like, who was this guy? I mean, think about for lack of a better word, the huevos you gotta have to come out here in the middle of nowhere, stake off some land, saying it's a mine, and just inviting the world out here and be like, yeah, come on out here. I'm gonna cure you. So you have all these sick people putting all their effort into you, and it's robbery. It's a sad story. And he used the guise of religion. When it all came down to it, he was never really religious. He was never a doctor. He was never anything but a con artist who made millions of dollars.
Wait, don't move. So he built all these places up back in the 1930s, all these buildings behind me. He actually at one point had a 60-person hotel out here. So he must have been getting quite a bit of people to travel out here back in the day in order to fill up a 60-person hotel, or even, you know, gather the funds up to build something like that. So he really went all in on a property like this.
We are no longer allowed to go into the buildings. 24-hour surveillance. You'll probably come up on some charges. So we're not going to be able to go in there. We'll see if we can find anybody out here, but it's pretty much a ghost town. It's weird that a lot of these places, they are becoming off limits. You know, once it gets into the government's hands, they're going to close it off. They're not going to let you, you know, just run freely in these places. They just take control, and we lose access. Like this, can't even go look at this old ghost town anymore. So we'll see if we can find anybody to go look inside, but I doubt it because this place looks empty.
I wouldn't doubt if that's part of the big 60-person hotel or something right there, because the eventual downfall is he started to let big donors. So a lot of the stuff, and I think that this was probably his way around taxes or ways around getting in trouble with stuff, is that he would take donations for a lot of his potions and different stuff. It wasn't really selling, it was more of a donation. So the biggest donation people were allowed to come out here and start building houses, homes and stuff to live out here next to this miracle water, you know, so that you could jump in every day and live to be 200 years old, I guess, or something along those lines. The government caught wind of it. They started to come and investigate. If you don't know, anything that staked a mining claim is still public property. So where he started getting in trouble is they started to treat it like private property, building commercial homes, commercial real estate, and private property on public grounds just for a mining claim. So the government came in, pretty much kicked him out, said what you're doing is illegal, and he ended up being thrown in prison. And that was the eventual downfall of Mr. Springer out here. But it's still super interesting because everything he did, kind of his legacy in a way, is still here. And it's just crazy to think that somebody did this. You know, back in the 30s, it would be extremely hard. There's nothing for miles around. And back in the 30s, I mean, cars probably barely even worked. So I wouldn't doubt if most people are still showing up on horseback.
One note to add in, I believe it's Zzyzx, or however you say it. He wanted that name because he wanted his place to be at the very end of the dictionary. He wanted it to be the last name. And Zzyzx qualified. It ended up being at the very end, and his little slogan was the last word in medicine, the last place you need to look, everything. You know, he was a smart dude. It was a lot of work. And I guess they gave it over to some college. They boxed it all off. It's unfortunate.
So from a once beautiful state out here in the middle of the desert to a ghost town. This place once supposedly had healing powers, but after doing all of our research, after doing all the digging we've done, we've come to the conclusion that he just was one big con artist. Now, yes, you know, I kind of believe, as much as a lot of people do, that natural hot spring water does have healing properties to it. But at the end of the day, it was just a guy telling a big fat lie on a lot of the stories. And who knows, maybe he did help somebody out there. Because there's the mental side of health. When he threw the salt and all the minerals from that dry lake bed out there with the carrot juice and these different juices, maybe it helps somebody out there cure a little bit of hair loss. But at the end of the day, just one big con artist. I've never seen that bird. Look at.
Oh.
He's got a whole yellow
Let me see if I
underbelly.
can get him. Let me see if I can get him. He was nice. Oh, there he is.
You got him?
We asked in the last video, and a lot of you guys knew what bird that was. So what is this? Is that the red-headed Caucasian woodpecker?
He's got a whole yellow body. Let's see if we can get him.
Yeah.
I've never seen a bird called yellow.
Wow, he was pretty amazing.
His whole body's yellow when he flies. It's cool stuff.
I think this place is pretty cool.
Is it worth visiting if you're bringing family and all that out here?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think it's a pretty cool spot. I think it's pretty crazy how, I mean, I do understand how he was able to con people. This is a pretty nice place. It makes sense. But yeah, I definitely think it's worth it. It's a nice place, cool little spot. So if you came back out here in the 30s and got to sit in that jacuzzi and drank all his potions and everything, and then you figure out 20 years later that it was a scam, would you be happy or not happy? Because it's like a resort here, but I mean, it depends on if it worked or not. If I woke up the next morning feeling good, it'd probably be good, but it's all the mental side of it.
See, here's what trips me out about this place. So if you think about the 1930s, right, when he came out, Vegas was tiny at that time. So if he came and put all that effort into Vegas at that time, he would have been a multi-billionaire and everything would have been legal. But yet he chose this place.
Yeah. And it's too bad that he didn't go about doing this legally. Like, if he would have done this legally, it was a great idea. He probably was the first to do it. You never know. This could be a big bustling thing today. I really do appreciate everybody for watching this video. If you guys want to come out here and explore for yourself, I'd recommend it. You know, if you're feeling a little bit adventurous. The only bad thing is literally all of the buildings are closed off. So pretty much all you can do is just nowadays just walk around this pond. I was looking at old videos from like 5 to 10 years ago, and you were still allowed to walk through like the ruins of these buildings and stuff. And maybe people illegally are, and that's how they're filming. But you know, I don't want to take those chances today. I don't recommend anybody to take those chances, especially, you know, I don't want to be interfering with anything that people are doing for work. But we got a lot more coming up. we're gonna try to shoot another video before we're off to Nevada. So if you're watching this video, I'm most likely gonna be in the mountains of northern Nevada chasing high country mule deer. That's something you guys gotta look forward to. It's gonna be an absolute blast. That video's coming out soon, but appreciate you guys for watching. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you outdoors.